time for the main event. Budweiser, the King of Beers, presents USA's Tuesday night fights. In a 12-round heavyweight matchup, Hasim Rahman, ranked number 3 in the world, takes on the challenge of Steve Pannell. Hard-punching Hasim Rahman has rocked his way up the heavyweight ladder with 22 crunching knockouts in 27 straight wins. The Rock is actually perturbed by those 5 fights that went the distance. Boxing a little too much, missing KO opportunities. He says no more Mr. Nice Guy.
I'm never going to just box anybody ever again. There's going to be a time where I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to knock them out. And every fight, I believe, is a point where you can knock somebody out. And every fight you see me in from here on out, you're going to see me take that chance.
Not good news for Steve Pannell, who comes in as a heavy underdog to face the red-hot Rahman. Pannell, though, not psyched out by Rahman's attack.
I've been sparring with Oliver McCall for 4 years, and that's who he reminds me of, in the ring. He's got a good heart and he's calm, and Oliver does the same thing. So it's like I'm ready, I'm prepared for that type of style.
Pannell comes in with big numbers, 33-3 record, 27 knockouts, although this amassed on the Tennessee circuit, lowly regarded until recently, when Tennessee grad Antoine Eccles knocked out Brian Barbosa, becoming the world's number 2 middleweight. And when Ken Bowman, working the Nashville network, backed up his 27-0 record, upsetting world title challenger Murky Sosa. Rahman not only comes in with 27 wins and 22 knockouts, but he does have the proper attitude for a heavyweight warrior.
Yeah, and he is going to be extremely difficult to beat right now. He is on a string. He is pumped. He is psyched. He's excited, and he knows now what it takes to be in that top 10 of the heavyweight division. And Steve Pannell does not.
And he also knows not to let a fight go into the hands of the judges, although it was his stablemate who benefited from that in the first fight. Hasim Rahman is so close. He's only 25, and he's number 3 in the world. Steve Pannell, at the age of 29, he's been living and fighting out of Nashville the last year, and has really been on a Tennessee diet. He's won 16 in a row, but against the likes of fighters with records like, believe it or not, 7-59, 4-25, 4-33, and then there was Tim St. Clair at 11-20, only 9 under the 500 mark. But as you heard from Pannell, he's been working there with Greg Page, who's been teaching him angles. He's been working for 4 years as a sparring partner for Oliver McCall, and he feels that's education enough to step in with a number 3 heavyweight in the world.
Well, we've not seen that in the past. In his 3 losses, those were the only 3 times that he fought any kind of opposition.
And he was knocked out in all 3. So major assignment for Steve Pannell, who tries to make it a hat trick for the Tennessee guys in the last couple of months here on the Tuesday night fights.
From the Lake Charles Civic Center in Lake Charles, Louisiana, Cedric Kushner Promotions, in association with the Players Island Casino, matchmakers Bill Benton and Eric Botcher, and Budweiser, the undisputed, undefeated King of Beers. This Bud's for You presents the USA main event of the evening, 12 rounds for the IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Ring officials assigned by the International Boxing Federation President Robert W. Lee. Supervisor in attendance, Daryl Peoples. Your judges at ringside, all from the great state of Louisiana. From Cutoff, Barry Orgeron. From Folsom, Paul Ceda. And from Franklin, Kenny Santes. Your referee for this event, from Metairie, Louisiana, Johnny Femia Jr. Here now are the principals. First, in the red corner to my right, wearing the white trunks, gold trim. He weighs in at 222 pounds with a professional record of 33 victories, 3 defeats, 27 wins coming by way of knockout from Roanoke, Virginia. He is the #1 rated intercontinental heavyweight by the IBF. And the challenger, here is Steve the Storm Pannell. Pannell. His opponent in the blue corner, wearing the white trunks, weighing 234.5 pounds, with a professional record that reads 27 victories, no defeats, and 22 wins coming by way of knockout. He hails from the great city of Baltimore, Maryland, the IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Hasim the Rock Rahman. Rahman, 12 rounds for the IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship.
Over here, Rock. Gentlemen, you were given your pre-fight instructions in the dressing room. Again, I remind you to obey my commands at all times, protect yourselves at all times. This is a legal blow here. Your trunk's a little bit high. Any questions from the red corner? Any questions from the blue corner? Let's box.
Rahman, real student of the game, studies other fighters, also studies himself. The tapes of his fights, and we have seen him grow up on USA. You remember, as a young fighter, he used to just charge out, try to overwhelm his opponents. Now works behind the jab, and coming right at Rahman is Steve Pannell.
Yeah, he's a lot to prove. He has heard the critics. Steve Pannell has a lot to show in this fight. He says, I can box, but I can also sit down on my punches, and I use angles in the ring. Not much angle about that. He angled right toward Hasim Rahman, showing that he's not afraid of Rahman.
You know, you talked about the 3 times Pannell has stepped up and lost and knocked out. He's actually knocked down 8 times in those 3 fights against Ernest Mateen, Denmark's unbeaten Michael Lindblad, and also against John Ruiz. That was his last loss back in October of '95. But Pannell, explaining that, says that in those 3 losses, he's a tweener. He was too big then to be a cruiserweight, not big enough to be a legitimate heavyweight, and was kind of caught in the middle and really had to let nature take its course and grow into the heavyweight body, which he has done now at 222. He was stuck around 200 pounds. And he kind of feels that that may have been a contributing factor, and that now he is ready. So 16 in a row. And we've talked about the Tennessee twosome of Ken Bowman, who knocked off Murphy Sosa. Antoine Eccles knocked off Brian Barbosa. Zoomed to #2 in the world in the middleweight division. And now trying to turn that Tennessee twosome now into the Tennessee trio. Guys coming out and backing up their big records. Pannell 33-3 coming into this fight, and he comes in under the tutelage now of Greg Page, former heavyweight champion of the world, a master technician, and teaching Pannell the angles, how to take Rock's power away from him, how to move and get out of the way of the power of Rahman that has unleashed 22 knockouts in his 27 fights.
Oh, good right hand from Pannell. Pannell coming from the Midwest, and also I came from the Midwest, and I tell you, to get the critics off your back, you have to get in and perform. The only times he's moved up in class, good left hook from Rahman, he has failed. And the critics look at that and they say, well, he's a Midwest fighter who can't perform in the big time.
Well, he's certainly taking the major step here tonight, and stepping in and looking to trade with Rahman.
Definitely is, but he feels like he is up for the task. He's been sparring with Oliver McCall. Good right hand, both fights. Oh, Pannell is hurt, down.
You cannot be saved by the bell, which should not be a situation here. The count is on. Just got to survive to the bell several seconds. May not even have to take another punch. And Rahman will wait it out into the corner. So Steve Pannell, we give him credit, chose to come in here and slug it out with Rahman. Give him credit on one end, but I'm sure Greg Page is not happy in the other.
Listen.
Rockman with Tommy Brooks in his corner was very patient, taking some shots from the prohibitive underdog in that first fight. But as we had talked about Rahman now, that he looks for the opening. He's not running in looking to get lucky very quickly. He's setting it up. And he's pinpointing his shots. He's more relaxed and took Pannell down to the closing seconds of the first and put him down on the canvas.
Yeah, look at him here in this first round. Rahman kept the pressure on. He stayed in the face of Pannell, made Pannell work without getting tagged with any big shots from Steve, and then started clubbing his shots. And there is the right hand that put Pannell down to the canvas. Pannell even shaking his head no while he was staying on the canvas. Here's another look at that same knockdown. Look at the right hands from Rahman. He says that is his best punch. He is naturally right-handed. Also has a terrific left hook. A good combination from Hasim Rahman. That's why they call him the Rock. He has rocks in those fists.
I thought it was because of his name.
Yeah, tell him that.
And a standing ankle. No, knocked down because Pannell was saved by the ropes. Rahman came in with 12 knockouts in the first round, and right now that big right hand is rocking.
And Pannell just a sitting duck for Hasim.
His left hand comes down, and Rahman has found the mark. And that's just kind of getting out of the way of the propensity of punches. Three knockdown rule is not in effect, but you get the idea. Johnny Femia watching very closely. One more could just about do it. Just buying time there is Pannell. Crowd doesn't appreciate it, but for Pannell, it just saved him some seconds and giving him a chance to try to clear the cobwebs. But Rahman has been scoring with the right. It appears as if it's a matter of time. Matter of seconds, perhaps.
Matter of punches, missing the shots. Rahman getting a little bit excited. Now he goes back to the body. When you miss the head, go downstairs.
Let him go, son. Break. Step back.
Pannell doing anything he can to stay in this fight. Just trying not to get hit, but there was a glancing blow to left hook.
And Johnny Femia is going to let Pannell try to make it up.
He didn't get hit.
8, 9, 10.
Oh, he takes the 10 count. Pannell takes the 10 count and then does his best job of acting, trying to say, I didn't know it was 10.
Well, Johnny Femia could not be closer to Steve Pannell in the count than he was. And Pannell goes down once in the first, 3 times here in the second.
Turn around, Steve.
And once again stepping up. Is knocked down. So now in the 4 times that he has stepped up, he has been to the canvas on 12 occasions. And finds out that sparring 4 years with Oliver McCall, not the prerequisite to being ready to be in with the #3 heavyweight in the world in real live competition.
Well, big talk coming into this fight. Steve Pannell had an incredible amount of confidence. Wanted to pick up that #3 rating off Hasim Rahman, but Rahman showed why he has that #3 rating, and Steve Pannell does not even have anywhere near that #3 rating.
We have a couple of more heavyweights coming up, but first let's get the official time. Into the ring, here's Mark Biro. Biro.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 1 minute, 48 seconds of the second round. The winner by knockout and still undefeated and still IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Hasim "The Rock" Rahman.
Rahman gathering some belts. IBF Intercontinental title. He's also USBA Heavyweight Champion. And he is working his way towards the top to get the big belt around that waist. Rahman goes to 28-0, 23 knockouts, and working up a little bit of a sweat, in complete control throughout, and doesn't allow this one to go to the scorecard. How do you have it scored, by the way, before it was stopped?
Well, I thought it was very close before they rang the first bell.
We have more heavyweights coming up as Rahman straps the belt over his one over the shoulder, one around the waist. This is David Bastos, an undefeated heavyweight from San Bernardino, California, who will be stepping in against another undefeated heavy in Lovey Page next.